Okay, we're on the record in 23 CPR 039966, estate of Lawrence Ray Brandley. All those who intend to testify, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You'll need to unmute yourself, please.
Yes.
All right. Counselor, you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, ma'am. My name is Kirk Sharkwa. I'm your attorney in this matter. I have some questions to ask you, and this shouldn't take too long.
All right. Time out. There is an echo. Are y'all in the same room by chance?
No.
Okay. You have the YouTube video running? No.
No.
Just on the Zoom.
I don't know where getting an echo.
Something is streaming. Hold on. I don't know why it's doing that. Is it off?
Yes, it seems better.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's on Counselor. That's on your end.
It's weird.
Yeah, it popped back up again.
I'm gonna try something, Your Honor. Is that better?
No. They'll have a really bad echo.
Never had this happen. If I keep I turn my volume down low, it might help, Your Honor. I'm gonna try that. Is that better?
Stephanie, can you work with this?
Yeah, just make me do not speak really fast so it doesn't override each other.
Okay. Let's just go through this line. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, will you state your full name for the record?
Gwendolyn Yvette Carroll.
And you are the daughter of the decedent, correct?
Yes.
And his full name, please.
Lawrence Ray Brandley.
And ma'am, did your father die leaving a last will on August 24th, 2023 in Richmond, Fort Bend County, Texas, at the age of 89?
Yes.
4 years have been elapsed since his death, correct?
Excuse me?
4 years have been elapsed since he died, correct?
No.
Okay. And your dad was domiciled in Texas and lived in Richmond, Fort Bend County, correct?
Yes.
And with regard to the last will, he did have one, correct?
Yes, he did.
Your Honor, I'd like to share that on the screen.
Go ahead. You can share now.
Trying to figure out how to do it. Found it. Ma'am, do you see the last will and testament of Lawrence Ray Brandley on your screen?
Yes, I do.
Moment. I'm going to scroll down. And this goes down now. All right. I'm scrolling down to the last page of this document. This is the draft. Do you recall signing this last will?
Counsel,
On-
I'll put it up for you. I'm gonna stop you sharing. I'll get it up there.
Thank you, Your Honor. Much better. Thank you, Your Honor. The document that's being scrolled down the screen, ma'am, do you recognize this as the executed last will of your father, Lawrence Ray Bradley?
Yes, I do.
And do you see your dad's signature on there?
Yes,
You recognize that as his signature?
yes,
And the date on this last will on the bottom, do you recognize that?
yes,
And you recall seeing your dad declare this to be his last will and sign it in the presence of two witnesses?
yes.
All right. Go back to some other questions, Your Honor. Ma'am, on that last will, it named you, Gwendolyn Yvette Carroll, to serve as independent executor. You recall that?
Yes,
And it also named Cheryl Renee Bradley as the independent executor, should you be unable to serve. Correct?
yes, that's correct.
You have not been convicted of any felony and you're not disqualified from accepting letters testamentary, are you?
No,
Okay. Regarding your father, he was never divorced, right?
no, he was widowed.
Okay. After his execution of this will, were there any children born to or adopted by your father?
No,
All right. Your Honor, I'm going to pass the witness and ask that you appoint Gwendolyn Carroll as the independent executrix.
All right. The testimony of Gwendolyn Carroll. She testified that proof of death, will, and other facts. The court will admit the probate to Ms. Carroll as independent executrix to serve without bond. Razors will be waived. Ms. Carroll, I'm sorry.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you all. Have a good day. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you still hearing a echo now?
No, not anymore.
I think it had something to do with his connection, but I'm not certain. All right. That was rough.
It was rough. Good thing you hear those questions a lot, so you were able to understand.
All right. Mr. Bellman, good morning. Are your clients with you? Is everybody there? Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's get started. We're on the record in 24 CPR 040286 in the estate of William E. Clark. All those who intend to testify, if you would raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony provided here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sir.
Very good. You may proceed.
Okay. Could you state your full name, please?
Jerry Allen Clark.
And William Clark was your father, is that correct?
Yes.
And he passed away less than 4 years ago on November the 3rd, 2023.
Yes.
And at the time, he was a resident of Fort Bend County.
Yes.
And he never applied for, received any Medicaid benefits that you're aware of? Okay. And we have provided his will to the court, the original will, and I have a copy here. We'd ask the court to just take judicial notice they have the original.
The
And-
court shall take judicial notice that the original is on file and proceed with your copy.
Okay, and that's your father's signature, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and that's the October 21, 2021 will?
Yes.
Okay. And that will names you and your brother as co-independent executors, is that correct?
Yes.
And after the date of that will, there were no children born or adopted by him,
No.
no change in his marital status,
No.
and it doesn't name a state government agency or charity as a beneficiary?
No.
And to the best of your knowledge, there's no unpaid debts or any other administration required. You're just seeking this muniment of title to clear up some accounts and things that were not in the trust's name. It's a plural will, Your Honor. It's a non-taxable estate, and we just ask that you accept the will as a muniment of title and waive the affidavit of fulfillment since the trust is the only beneficiary.
I have a Kenneth E. Clark. Is he going to provide any testimony today or no?
He is not. He is in Arizona.
Okay. All right. The court heard the testimony of Jerry Allen Clark. He testified as to the proof of death, validity of the will, and other facts. The court will admit the will into probate as a muniment of title, and the affidavit of fulfillment of terms is waived as well. Mr. Clark, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Bellman, you and your client are free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, everybody there, can you hear me?
Yes, Judge, we're all here and we can hear you.
Ms. Miller?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, good morning. All right, we're on the record in 20 CPR 035015, the state of John Miller Jr. All those who intend to testify, if you'd raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
All right, very good. All right, well, we've got a successor dependent administration. Why don't we go through a quick prove up of qualifications? Ms. Ledbetter?
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Miller, would you please state your name for the record?
Robin Miller,
And you are the decedent's daughter, is that correct?
correct,
And this court previously appointed Monica Reynolds Miller to serve as dependent administrator in this matter, is that correct?
correct,
And Miss Monica Reynolds Miller has since vacated that position of your father's estate, is that correct?
correct,
And this court accepted her resignation on or about August the 7th of 2023, is that correct?
correct,
And there is a continued necessity to administer your father's estate, is that correct?
correct,
And to the best of your knowledge, Ms. Miller did not file a final inventory of any property that may have come into her possession prior to her vacating this position, is that correct?
correct,
There's reason to believe that there is some property missing from the estate, is that correct?
correct,
And the appointment of a successor administrator in this matter is necessary to conclude the affairs of the estate, is that correct?
correct,
And there have been waivers filed by your siblings, is that correct?
correct,
And they've agreed to the appointment of your appointment as successor administrator of this estate, is that correct?
correct,
All other parties who have not consented, service of process has been completed for those parties, is that correct?
correct,
And you are qualified and not disqualified to serve as the successor dependent administrator in this matter. Is that correct?
Correct.
You're not convicted of a crime of theft, moral turpitude, or otherwise unfit to serve as dependent administrator. Is that correct?
Correct.
And just to try to give context to the value of the estate, there's one property in Sugar Land, Texas. Is that correct?
Correct.
And per the appraisal district, that property is roughly valued about 398,000. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that property currently has a mortgage on it. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's another property in California. Is that correct?
Correct.
At the time of your father's passing, there were at least 3 vehicles. Is that correct?
There were 5.
5 vehicles. Okay. And we don't know the location of any of those vehicles at this time. Is that correct?
For one vehicle, I found the bill of sale receipt that she sold last January, but the other 4, I don't know.
Okay. So we can't give a good approximate value of those vehicles. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then as far as household furnishings, Ms. Reynolds had submitted an inventory that was not approved, but she had valued the household furnishings about 37,000. Is that correct?
Well, she valued that, but there's nothing else in the house when she vacated it.
Okay, so that property is missing, and so we can't get a true value of what the household furnishings actually are. Is that correct?
Correct. The house was vacated, was left empty.
Okay. And so currently what you have seen that's in the estate is a home and that may be it. There may be other assets we discover, but as of right now, the home with the mortgage is all that you know of at this time. Is that correct?
Correct.
I have no further questions, Judge.
All right, after listening to testimony of Robin Miller, the court finds the decedent died intestate and there's a necessity for the appointment of a successor administrator. The court will grant the request the applicant appoint Robin Miller as successor dependent administrator of the estate. I'm going to set bond in the amount of 400,000 in this case. We can, once a proper inventory is completed, we can adjust accordingly.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, Judge. And may we be dismissed.
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay.
Ms. Schuler,
Morning, Your Honor.
good morning. Pamela Spencer is not in the waiting room.
She was replaced by
Samantha.
Samantha.
I was not informed. 1 second. Well, hold on. I have Samantha Paulo.
Mhm.
Who's my second witness?
Virginia Grimsley.
Grimsley. All right, we're on the record 23 CPR 039778, estate of Susan Spencer Hotel. All those who intend to testify, if you'd raise your right hand, and ask that everybody turn their video on. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony provided here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. If you'd unmute yourself to respond, please.
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do. Virginia, you're on mute. You're still muted.
There it is. It just popped up.
There you go.
Okay. Yes, I solemnly swear to tell the truth.
All right. Ms. Schuler, let's start with the airship, and then we'll move into the administration after we've completed the airship. Rhubarb.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I call Virginia Grimsley. Virginia, will you please state your full name for the court?
Virginia Maria Grimsley.
Thank you. And were you well acquainted with Susan Otell, the decedent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how well and how long did you know her?
Our kids are the same age, so they went to the same school, so it's been a long, long time.
Okay. When was the last time you saw her or spoke with her?
2 weeks before her death in July.
Okay. Thank you. As far as you know, was she ever married?
Yes, she was twice.
Okay. And was she married and divorced from John Otell?
Yes,
And divorced from him in 2004 and then married to Patrick Workman?
in 2008. Yes,
Okay. And was he married to was she married to Patrick Workman at the time of her passing?
yes, she was.
Thank you. And did Susan have any children born to or adopted by her?
She had 2 children. She had Heather Otell and Daniel Otell.
Thank you. And did Susan take any children other than Heather and Daniel into her home and raise them?
She did not.
Thank you. And as far as you know, did Susan have a will?
No, she did not.
And did you discuss having a will with her?
Yeah, oddly enough, not too long before she passed away, we got on the subject somehow. And she said, yeah, I need to do it, but she never did.
Okay, thank you. And do you have a financial interest in this estate?
I do not.
And have you been offered any compensation for your testimony today?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Your Honor, I pass the witness.
Ms. Baloo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Grimsley, you and I have communicated before, is that correct?
Yes, we have.
And you completed a questionnaire that I sent to you.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
At that time, I asked you a number of questions about your relationship with the decedent.
Yes,
And you told me everything that you knew about any possible unknown heirs or children that might have lived, persons that might have lived with her.
yes. Didn't have any other kids with her.
Has any new information come to your attention since the last time that you and I spoke?
No, ma'am,
And you're not being paid for your testimony today,
I am not.
and you will not inherit from the decedent based on this proceeding.
No, ma'am, I will not.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Schuler, call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I call Samantha Powell. Samantha, will you please state your full name for the court?
Samantha Nicole Paulo.
Thank you. And were you well acquainted with Susan Spencer Otell, the decedent?
I was. She was my aunt.
Okay. And when was the last time you saw her or spoke with her?
It was a few months prior to her passing.
Okay. And as far as you know, was she ever married?
She was married twice.
Okay. And was she married at the time of her passing?
She was to Patrick Workman.
Thank you. And did Susan and Patrick have any children together?
They did not.
Okay. And she did have children with her previous spouse, John. Is that correct?
That's correct. Heather and Danny Otell.
Thank you. And did she take any children other than Heather and Danny into her home and raise them?
She did not.
Thank you. And as far as you know, did Susan have a will?
She did not.
And do you have a financial interest in her estate?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Thank you. And have you been offered any compensation for your testimony today?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Baloo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Paolo, you and I have spoken previously, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Has any additional information become available to you about any possible heirs or other children of the decedent since you and I spoke?
No, ma'am.
And at that time, you told me everything that you knew about her marriages and her children. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You're not being paid for your testimony today, are you?
No, ma'am.
And you will not inherit from her estate.
No, ma'am.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Schuler, any further witnesses for the heirship?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Baloo, I show you have a fee in the amount of $525. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. After listening to testimony of Virginia Grimsley and Samantha Paolo, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence, decedent's heirs are those listed in the judgment declaring heirship. I'm going to discharge Ms. Baloo from her duties as attorney ad litem and award her a fee in the amount of $525. Ms. Baloo, you're free to go. Ms. Paolo and Ms. Grimsley, you all are also free to go, but you're more than welcome to stick around and watch the remaining proceeding.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Schuler, you may call your witness for the administration.
Thank you, Your Honor. Heather, will you please state your full name for the court?
Heather Michelle Otel.
Thank you. And was Susan Spencer Otel your mother?
She was.
And did she pass away on July 16th, 2023 in Sugar Land, Fort Bend County, Texas at the age of 65?
She did.
And was the date of her passing less than 4 years ago?
It was.
And was your mom a resident of Fort Bend County at the time of her passing?
Yes.
And and to the best of your knowledge, did she have a will?
She did not.
Okay. And is there a necessity for administration?
Yes.
Thank you. And you've requested the court to appoint you as independent administrator of the estate, and all heirs have consented and signed those consents and filed them with the court for you to be independent administrator. As far as you know, are you qualified to serve as such and accept letters of administration?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, we have no further testimony.
After listening to testimony of Heather Michelle Otel, the court finds the decedent died intestate and there's a necessity for administration. The court will grant the request the applicant appoint Heather Michelle Otel as independent administrator of the estate. Ms. Otel, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Ms. Grimsley, Ms. Paolo, thank you all for coming in, providing testimony to help us wrap up this matter today.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Schuler, the order will be signed shortly. Y'all are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'm going to move to the interpreter case next.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning. So I am looking for the applicants.
They're
Nope.
with Francis Bend Guardianship Services, Judge.
Okay.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
But not with Kirk Monroe, though. They're at their office at Bresses Bend.
Would it be under a different name?
Maybe Kirk can tell us. Well, it could be under Kirk's name. Is that just a picture? I thought he was
It's just a picture right now.
Okay. Okay, I thought he was live.
Mr. Monroe?
Mr. and Mrs. Venturini, are you there?
Señora y señora Venturini, ¿están ahí?
Sí, sí, señora.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. We're on the record in 23 CPR 039731, guardianship of Lucas Andreas Venturini. Let me swear the interpreter in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly and accurately translate from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, very good. Why don't you go ahead and interpret what I just stated, and then I'll swear them in.
Muy bien, vamos a empezar con el caso 23, CPR 039731 en la causa de Lucas Andrés Venturini.
If I could have all individuals who plan to testify raise their right hand.
Si es que podría pedirle a los individuos que planean dar testimonio levantar la mano derecha.
Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony provided here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Cada uno de ustedes juran o confirman que el testimonio que van a brindar el día de hoy será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad. ¿Lo juran ante Dios?
Sí.
Yes, by both.
Okay. Ms. Klosowski, you may start. Let's pause every couple sentences to allow the interpreter to interpret.
Yes,
Señora
sir.
Klosowski, ¿puede empezar?
Thank you, Judge. I call Susan Venturini.
Muy bien. Voy a llamar a Susan Venturini.
State your full name for the court, please.
Diga su nombre completo para el juez, por favor.
Susana Esther Venturini.
Susana Esther Venturini.
And you and your husband, Nelson Venturini, are the co-applicants in this guardianship matter. Is that correct?
Y usted y su esposo Nelson Venturini son los co-solicitantes en esta causa de curatela, ¿correcto?
Correcto, sí.
Correct, yes.
And you and your son all live in Fort Bend County. Is that correct?
Y ustedes y su hijo, todos ustedes viven en el condado de Fort Bend, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
And your son is Lucas Venturini, correct?
Y su hijo es Lucas Venturini, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
And both of you, Mr. and Mrs. Venturini, are eligible to serve as co-guardians for your son, correct?
Y ambos, usted, señor y señora Venturini, cumplen los requisitos para ser los tutores de su hijo, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
And have alternatives to guardianship and supports and services available to Lucas been considered and determined to not be feasible?
Y las alternativas a la curatela, la manutención y servicios disponibles se han considerado y se han determinado que no son posibles para Lucas.
¿Puedes repetirme?
Can you
Disculpe.
repeat, please?
That you have considered alternatives to guardianship, correct?
Usted ha considerado otras alternativas para la curatela, ¿correcto?
Sí, correcto.
Yes, correct.
And none of the alternatives are enough to be able to take care of Lucas without a guardianship. Is that correct?
Y ninguna de las alternativas son suficientes para cuidar o ofrecerle curatela a Lucas, ¿correcto?
Correcto.
Correct.
And Lucas does not own any property, correct?
Y Lucas no es dueño de ninguna propiedad, ¿correcto?
Correcto.
Correct.
And he has been determined to be totally incapacitated, right?
Y se ha determinado que él está completamente discapacitado, ¿correcto?
Correcto.
Correct.
He has been diagnosed with intellectual disability, autism, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia. Is that correct?
Él ha sido diagnosticado con discapacidad intelectual, con autismo, con trastorno bipolar y esquizofrenia, ¿correcto?
Correcto.
Correct.
And I am representing you through Brazos Bend Guardianship Services. Is that correct?
Y yo los estoy representando a través de Brazos Bend Guardian Services, ¿correcto?
Correcto.
Correct. Correct.
Are you asking the court order a minimal bond for you and your husband?
Usted está pidiéndole al juez que ordene un pago mínimo de bono para usted y para su esposo.
Sí.
Yes.
And you are asking to be appointed co-guardians for your son. Is that correct?
y están pidiendo que se les asigne como tutores o curadores de su hijo, ¿correcto?
Correcto.
Correct.
I pass the witness, Judge.
He terminado
Lytle.
con los testigos, juez. Señor
Yes, Your Honor.
Lytle.
I have no questions and we have no objection to the guardianship and the minimal bond.
Sí, su señoría, ya no tengo más preguntas y no tenemos ninguna objeción acerca de la curatela y del el bono mínimo.
Do you want to call your other witness, Ms. Kozlowski?
Señora
Yes,
Klosowski,
Judge,
¿quiere
just
llamar a
to
su siguiente
affirm.
testigo?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Yes, Judge, just to affirm.
Sí, juez, simplemente para confirmar.
I call Mr. Venturini.
Llamo al señor Venturini.
Mr. Venturini, if I were to ask you all the questions that I asked your wife, would your answers be the same?
Señor Venturini, si yo fuera a hacerle las mismas preguntas que le hice a su esposa, ¿sus respuestas serían las mismas?
Exactamente la misma, sí.
Exactly the same.
I pass the witness, Judge.
He terminado con el testigo, juez.
Lytle, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Señor Lytle, ¿alguna pregunta? Ninguna pregunta, su señoría.
All right, after listening to testimony, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that Lucas Andreas Venturini is totally incapacitated in need of a guardian with full authority over the person.
Después de haber oído al testimonio de todas las partes, hallo con pruebas claras y contundentes que Lucas Andrés Venturini está completamente discapacitado y requiere de curatela para su persona.
The court finds the guardianship is warranted and appoints Nelson D. Venturini and Susan E. Venturini as guardian of the person of the proposed ward.
El juez determina que se necesita la curatela y se designa a Nelson E. Venturini y Susan E. Venturini como los curadores.
Bond is set at $50 each.
Se va a fijar el bono en $50 para cada uno.
I'm going to discharge Mr. Lytle from his duties as attorney ad litem and award him a fee in the amount of $525 to be paid by the county.
Voy a liberar al señor Mike Lytle como abogado ad litem y voy a asignarle un pago por honorarios de representación legal de $525 que serán pagados por el condado.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Venturini, I want to let you know that I'm sure your attorney's already told you this, but you'll have to file a report every year with the court, letting us know how Lucas is doing.
Señor y señora Venturini, quiero simplemente dejarlo saber. Estoy seguro que su abogado ya se los ha mencionado, pero ustedes van a tener que llenar o hacer un informe anual con la sala para saber cómo le está yendo a Lucas.
If you have any,
Correct, yes.
if you have any questions regarding the form, you can contact obviously your attorney, or you can contact the court, and we can try our best to help you work through the form.
Y si es que usted tiene algún tipo de solicitud o alguna pregunta en cuanto al formulario, usted puede comunicarse con su abogada o puede llamar a la sala y nosotros podemos hacer lo posible para ayudarles a resolver cualquier duda que tengan con el formulario.
Ok, gracias.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck to y'all.
Muy bien, gracias a
That
ustedes.
concludes the hearing.
Terminamos
Your
con
Honor.
la audiencia.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Judge.
Y'all are free to go.
Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
I am looking for Kim Pham. I have the two witnesses, but I don't see the applicant.
Let me see.
Actually, I found her. Never mind. If I could have all our witnesses and applicant turn their video on, please. All right. We're on the record, 23 CPR 039664, State of Chownock Win. All those who intend to testify, if you'd raise your right hand to be sworn by the court. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony provided here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I need you to unmute yourself to respond, please.
I do.
I do.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. You may lower your hand. Ms. Vols, if you would please respond.
I do.
Thank you. You can lower your hand. All right, let's go ahead and proceed with the airship first. After we've concluded the airship, we'll move into the administration. Ms. Cortez?
Thank you. I'd like to call my first witness, Ms. Slay.
Yes.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Zoom T. Mi Lei.
And how are you acquainted with the decedent, Mr. Chow Wen?
I am the younger sister of Mr. Cho's wife, Mrs. Minh Tâm Pham Nguyen.
Did the decedent pass away on January 11th, 2023 in Sugar Land, Fort Bend County, Texas at the age of 85?
Yes.
Did the decedent ever mention to you that he had a will?
I never talked to Mr. Cho about the will.
Are you aware of any copies of wills or unsigned drafts of wills that were found?
File, I do not know, but because I live in California, but I heard the children mention there is a will, but I never see that and I never talk to Mr. Cho about that will.
Are you aware of whether or not a signed will was ever found?
I do not know.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, did the decedent pass away without a signed valid will?
I do not know.
Based on your acquaintance with the decedent, do you believe you knew him sufficiently well to testify here today about his family and marital history?
Yes, I do.
The decedent was not married at the time of his death. Is that correct?
He was a widow only, not a married man at the time of his death.
That the decedent was previously married to Minh Tam Nguyen on or around December 24th, 1969, and this marriage ended with the death of Miss Nguyen on April 14th, 2015. Is that correct?
That is correct.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent had 3 biological or adopted children, namely Kim Lan Nguyen, Tung Nguyen, Kim Mai Nguyen. Is that correct?
That's correct.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent did not bring any other children into his home to raise as his own. Is that correct? You do not have any interest in the decedent's estate. Is that correct?
No interest.
Has anyone offered you anything in exchange for your testimony here today?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. I have no further questions and I pass the witness.
Ms. King?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lee, I'm Libby King. Do you recall speaking with me on the telephone about your
Yes.
brother-in-law?
Right.
It's nice to see you today, to put a name to a face. Tell the court how long you had known the decedent.
Mr. Cho was my brother-in-law from December 24th, 1969. At that time, before my sister married him, she was living with me and my parents in my house in Saigon, Vietnam. And Mr. Cho sometime come to the house to visit my sister. So I have been knowing him for a long time. Plus his parent family and my parent family have known each other from the time they was young. So that two family connection that have been a long time.
Okay. Both of your families lived near each other and were close friends in Saigon from the time you were at least in high school. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you talked a minute ago about the decedent's marriage. Is it true that he had only the one marriage?
That's correct. He
Okay.
loved my sister so much too.
And is it also true that the three children that you that were talked about a minute ago with Miss Cortez, that those were his only three children?
That is correct. Tung Nguyen is the eldest one, and then Kimmy Linh Nguyen, and then Kim Lan Nguyen. Only three children that he has.
And he didn't have any children who predeceased him. Is that true?
No.
It is true that he had no child.
Yes, it is true that he have no other children. That's what I mean.
Okay. And if he had other children or other marriages, that's something you would have known about. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say it again.
If he had other marriages or children, that's something you would have known about. Is that correct?
I will know right away if there is something going on. Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Ms. Cortez, call your next witness.
Thank you. I'd like to call my next witness, Ms. Voles. Ms. Voles, can you please state your full name for the record?
Zim Voles.
And how are you acquainted with the decedent, Chow Wen?
I'm his sister.
The decedent passed away on January 11th, 2023 in Sugarland, Fort Bend County, Texas at the age of 85. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did the decedent ever mention to you that he had a will?
No.
Are you aware of any copies of wills or unsigned drafts that were found?
I didn't know until the kids, I asked him what is going, he said, how about probate or something? And until they hire a lawyer. And I said, why? And they said, because it's the will is not signed.
Okay. So are you aware of whether or not a signed will was ever found?
No, they didn't say that. And
thank you. To the best of your knowledge and belief, did the decedent pass away without a signed valid will?
that's right.
Based on your acquaintance with the decedent, do you believe you knew him sufficiently well to testify here today about his family and marital history?
Yes, I knew him almost all my life, and except the time that I came to the U.S. To go to school here. But I even wrote a short biography of his extraordinary life.
Thank you. And the decedent was not married at the time of his death. Is that correct? Because he was
Correct.
a widower? Okay. However, he was previously married to Min Tem Wen on or around December 24th, 1969, and this marriage ended with her passing on April 14th, 2015. Is that correct?
That's correct.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent had 3 biological or adopted children, namely Kim Lan Wen, Tung Wen, Kim Mai Wen. Is that correct?
Correct.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent did not bring any other children into his home to raise as his own.
That's correct.
Do you have any interest in the decedent's estate?
No.
Has anyone offered you anything in exchange for your testimony here today? Thank you. I have no further questions and I pass the witness.
Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Volz. I'm Libby King. Do you recall speaking with me on the telephone a few weeks ago?
Oh, is that the one I talked to?
Yes, ma'am. We talked for
Okay.
quite a while about your brother and his life. Do you recall?
Yes.
Okay. And so you told me about how, of course, your family, you and your brother were both born in Vietnam. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you came to the United States in the mid-1970s. Is that correct?
69.
Okay.
Oh, no, yeah, 69.
And your brother was married to his wife in Vietnam, is that right?
Yes,
And one of his children was born in Vietnam, is that true?
correct.
And then his two younger children were born in the United States. Is that
Yes, 2 girls.
okay? And your brother didn't have any other children by birth, adoption, or
No,
no other children. Okay. And he didn't have any child predeceased him either, did he?
no, say it again.
He had no child who died before him, is that correct?
Correct.
And he only had the one marriage, is that correct?
Yes,
And you and your brother were very close, and if he had had other marriages or children, that's something you would have known about. Is that correct?
we meet all the time. Like in Houston, when my mother was still alive, we meet each other just like in Saigon. No matter where they worked, we came home for dinner on Sunday, all in the family.
That's very nice. So you knew each other well.
Yes. In
Wonderful.
here, and when we were here, we tried to move. First I was in Michigan, went to school in Michigan and worked there, but then we all tried to move to Houston, one place, because I sponsored my mom here, and the weather is better for her because not too cold. And then again, we met each other every weekend.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Ms. Cortez, any further witnesses for the airship?
No, Your Honor, I have no other witnesses.
All right, go ahead, Ms. King.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask the applicant a few questions about the will.
That's fine.
Okay. Ms. Nguyen, I'm Libby King. I am the attorney ad litem who was appointed by the court to look into the heirs of your father. And I wanted just to ask you a couple of questions about the will. Is it true that your family believed that your father had a will?
Yes, it's true.
And would you please tell the court about your search for the will?
We searched everywhere he kept his documents. We looked into all the safety deposit boxes, and we couldn't find anything.
Okay. And did you search his home?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Did he have an attorney that you're aware of?
Yes.
And did you communicate with the attorney about whether he or she knew anything about a will?
Yes, ma'am. I went to his office and he said he did not keep a record of the will or a copy of the will.
Okay. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. King, you have a fee in the amount of $583. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's agreed to?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, after listening to testimony of Dung Lee, Yim Vols, and Kim Lan Pham Nguyen, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence, Seaton's heirs are those listed in the judgment declaring heirship. I'm going to discharge Ms. King from her duties as attorney ad litem and award her a fee in the amount of $583. Ms. King, you're free to go. Thank you for your
Your Honor.
assistance.
It's nice to talk with all of you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Ms. Vols, Ms. Lee, you are also free to go, or you may remain and watch what is left of the proceedings.
Okay.
Ms. Cortez, you can call your witness for the administration.
Thank you. I'd like to call my last witness, applicant Ms. Nguyen. Ms. Nguyen, can you please state your full name for the record?
Kim Lan Pham Nguyen.
And how are you related to the decedent, Chow Nguyen?
I'm his youngest daughter.
The decedent passed away on January 11th, 2023 in Sugar Land, Fort Bend County, Texas at the age of 85. Is that correct?
That's correct.
As we just went over with the attorney ad litem, you did undertake a thorough search for a will. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you only found an unsigned copy of the will. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And you did a search of all of his important documents. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Including the house and the safe deposit box.
Yes.
Okay. And despite your diligent efforts, you were only unable to find an unsigned copy, correct?
Correct.
So based on this search, is it your belief that there is no signed valid will that the decedent passed away intestate, meaning no will?
Yes.
Thank you. Was the decedent a resident of Fort Bend County at the time of his death?
Yes, he was.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, the only heirs to the decedent's estate is Kim Lan Wen, Tung Wen, and Kim Mai Wen. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there a need for a formal administration of this estate?
Yes.
You are asking the court to appoint you as the independent administrator of this estate. Do you confirm that you are not disqualified by law from serving as the administrator, meaning you do not have a felony conviction, no other convictions of moral turpitude, and you are over the age of 18 and a resident of Texas? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, all potential heirs have entered an appearance in this case and consent to you being the independent administrator.
Yes, that's correct.
If appointed, you are asking the court to waive the requirement of bond in the appointment of any appraisers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask the court to appoint Kim Lan Wen as the independent administrator of the estate of Chow Wen and that bond and appraisers be waived as this is a non-taxable estate.
After listening to the testimony of Kim Lan Pham Nguyen, the court finds the decedent died intestate and there's a necessity for administration. The court will grant the request the applicant appoint Kim Lan Pham Nguyen as independent administrator of the estate. Ms. Nguyen, I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And Ms. Lee and Ms. Foles, I'm also very sorry for y'all's loss as well.
Thank you.
Ms. Cortez, anything further for the record?
No, Your Honor, I have nothing further.
All right, y'all are free to go. The order will be signed shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Waj, you can go ahead and log
Hello?
in. Yeah, go ahead and put your screen on too.
Screen.
Tap it and it'll say start video. Just like we did earlier.
Start video, okay.
There you
Yes,
go.
yeah.
All right, I think we're all connected. We're on the record in 23 CPR 039644, guardianship of MW minor. All those who intend to testify, if you'd raise your right hand, be sworn by the court. Each of you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you provide here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes.
Very good. You can lower your hands. Mr. Junker, you may proceed with your prove-up.
As you know, Judge, this is actually a guardianship of an incapacitated adult, but our clerks decide to still put everything as minor when we file within the timely frame before their 18th birthday. Anyway,
I just call it as it's titled. So.
I know you do. I know you do. And I title it to them correctly, and they never want to put it in there correctly. But that's a story for another day for both of us. We know that. Judge, I will call my first witness, Wajahat Qureshi. Waj, could you please state your full name and what's your relation to Muhammad?
Yeah, hi, this is Wajahat Qureshi. I'm a father of Muhammad Ayan Wajahat.
And Muhammad turned 18 on January 13th of this year, correct?
Yes.
He lives here in Fort Bend County with y'all?
Yes.
Could you tell Judge just a little bit about him and his condition?
Muhammad Ayan is basically autistic and he's non-verbal. Basically, he cannot do his chores, anything. He totally dependent on us. Whatever you instruct him, he does it.
All right, and he relies on y'all for pretty much everything, doesn't he?
Pretty much everything, yes.
He was seen by Dr. Pont, who gave us an evaluation from July 26, 2023, correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, we ask the court take judicial notice that y'all have a copy of the original doctor's letter on file from an exam of July 26, 2023.
The court shall take judicial notice.
And Waj, so Dr. Pont told us again that he's totally incapacitated, relies on us for everything. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
And has anything changed since that day?
No.
Now, when we first started this whole process, we talked about alternatives to guardianship, such as the supported decision-making agreement and powers of attorney. Those aren't something that Muhammad Ayan would understand, are they?
Ayan, I mean, don't know. I mean, he doesn't understand, but yes, we talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, the guardianship is really the only alternative we have to be able to advocate for him and protect him, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Did we give notice to everybody, meaning that did Muhammad Ayan receive notice from a constable who came by one day?
Yes, he did.
And then Rita has also signed a waiver saying that in support of this guardianship.
That's correct.
Did you go through the training course?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And we've registered you with the Judicial Commission. Your background check has come back clear as far as we know. Any reason you'd be disqualified from serving as guardian?
No.
Does Muhammad Ayan have any money in his name that we need to worry about a guardianship of the estate?
No, he doesn't have anything.
Okay. And you said you're not disqualified, but in fact, you and Sadaf are the two most qualified people on the planet to be his guardian right now, aren't y'all?
Yes.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said I'll pass the witness.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bustle. Mr. Bustle, you're muted.
How about that?
There you go.
Am I on? Very good. Do you recall our visit at your home on September the 26th of last year?
Yes, we did. We do. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you. You all are looking well. Has anything significantly changed since that time?
No, everything's the same.
All right. And you don't think that Mohammed's appearance here would be of any benefit to the judge?
Say it again, sorry.
Is it correct that Mohammed's appearance before the judge would not really make any be of any assistance to the
judge? You're right.
Now, the bottom line is that you're asking the judge to take away Mohammed's right to establish a residence, to vote, to drive a car, own a firearm. We're in Texas. There's a lot of people going out there hunting. Do you agree with that?
Yes, we do.
All right. Now, mothers and fathers have, the Dr. Pont has said that there's total incapacity and no possibility of improvement. Now, mothers and fathers have amazing instincts. Do you think Mohammed will ever improve?
I don't think so. We've been like 18 years now. We're just like totally dependent on us for everything.
Okay, very good. I pass the witness.
Anything further, Mr. Junker?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll call the mother, Sadaf Wajahat.
Proceed.
Sadaf, if I asked you the questions that I asked to Wajahat, would your answers be similar or the same?
Yes.
Okay. And you, in fact, are not disqualified from being guardian, correct?
Yes.
Now, one last question. You understand that if appointed here today, y'all will be required to file an annual report every year to keep the court aware of Muhammad Ayan's situation. Specifically, you'll be required to file that report within 60 days of your anniversary date of qualification. Are you prepared to do that?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Bustle.
No questions, Judge.
All right, anything else, Mr. Junker?
Nothing further, Your Honor. We ask that you find Muhammad Ayan Wajahat totally incapacitated and appoint Wajahat Karashi and Sadaf Wajahat as guardians with full powers of the person only.
All right, after listening to testimony, the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that Muhammad Ayan Wajahat is totally incapacitated and in need with a guardian with full authority over the person. The court finds that a guardianship is warranted and appoints Wajahat Karishi and Sadaf Wajahat as guardian of the person of the proposed ward only. I'm going to set bond at $50 each, and then I'm going to discharge Mr. Bussell from his duties as attorney ad litem and award him a fee in the amount of $525, which is on deposit. Good luck
Thank
to
you.
y'all. I know Mr. Junker has probably informed y'all of the reporting requirements that will be due each year. The form can be found on the court's website. If you have any questions, I'm sure you can contact Mr. Junker.
Sure. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a
Thank you,
good day.
Judge. Y'all have a
All right.
great week.
All right, bye.